Why is it that whenever somebody decides that they're going to start a project, the first thing that comes to mind is, I need to create a website? Now, you probably feel that the website is a huge priority and we got to get the website up. And certainly the website is important, but we need to really take a good look at what actually is a website, what is the function of a website, what is it that we want to achieve with the website, and what actually is a website not supposed to be. And so by understanding a proper approach and maybe challenging some of our intuitions, we could deploy a website and create one with real strategy. And so it might be a little challenge to those intuitions, but one that will really be helpful as you look forward to developing your practice and attracting web visitors and ultimately clients and patients. My suspicion is that the reason why the website is something that people just jump on is because there is this sense of like, when I have a website, that means I'm legit. That means I'm serious. That means I'm in business. You have these Wix or I think Square, GoDaddy website builders that make you feel like you could do it yourself. All I need to do is take the weekend and really focus and drag and drop and write my website up, pull some pictures, maybe even use AI, and you can get your website and be legit. Now, that intuition actually could be a little bit unhelpful. And I think it might be because there is this sense of, if I could do it myself, then this big, expensive endeavor, this crucial first step, I can really save a lot of money on that. And so, of course, I'll do it myself. It's so easy. Another thing is like, wow, I can already be busy with my practice. I can already start building it. All I have to do is make my website, and wouldn't that be great? And I don't want to discourage you from that. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about going into that process of making your website and whether or not you should do it on your own or you should hire someone, or how it actually might be a good way to deploy the website strategically. But before we do that, I think it's a good place to start at the basics. Now, people tend to think that the website is where people find your business, when actually people don't find your website. People click onto your website from somewhere else. So it might actually be a good way to think about it, where the website is a stop along a journey. The first stop is when somebody is interested in a service, right? So I'm interested in yoga. Okay. So I search yoga studio near me. Then I get results. And then my second stop on that journey is the website. And if I'm satisfied, if I feel like, wow, this is a yoga studio that I really would like to go to, then I take my next stop on the journey. And that is either book a session or I'll go to the next class that's available. So that's the actual journey that people are going through. So knowing that, we can actually break down the user or visitor journey by the thought process of, I need this service, or I need this practice. If you're a yoga studio, I need to get to a yoga class, but I don't necessarily want this yoga class or that yoga class. So our website is all about making them go from I need something in a general sense to I want this yoga class. I want this practice. And so our website actually is taking somebody who clearly is interested in the general subject, but they are in a process of determining who they want to work with. Okay, so the heavy lifting of the website is to get us to really want to go to your practice and to patronize your business. Now, getting somebody from the I need stage to the I want stage is more strategic than might appear. Generally, people think of a website as a place where we put all our information, and that information will inform people of what we offer, and then they'll choose us based on the information. Now, that is important, but I would say the most important, the really most overlooked aspect of a website, and I'm saying this as somebody who's created websites for nearly 10 years, is that people on a website are looking for connection and trust. That means we need to build a rapport with our website. Making it as simple as possible. What is rapport? Rapport is a video of you, the founder, or your founding team that is talking specifically to the visitor. One of the most important things on the website is that you're just talking to people and meeting them where they're at, letting them see you, letting them realize and feel a sense of trust and connection with you. And when it comes to wellness, that human touch is really the most valuable thing. Really, nothing else can quite do the heavy lifting. No design elements, no special, beautiful headlines, no amazing promo deal, more than just that connection that you can make. And really, it doesn't need to be a super finished video. It could just be, hey, this is who I am. This is why I built my practice. This is my offer. And giving them that genuine feeling of who you are. And if you're thinking like, I'm so bad on camera, or I really don't know what to say, it's something to think about and really strategize. How do you want to connect with your visitors and hopefully your clients and patients? And when we can create that video, then we could really feel that we've done our job to build a rapport, and all the information on the website is now speaking to somebody who feels that connection. And so I really want to emphasize that before we get into the rest of what the website is, we're going to have to get comfortable with making at least one, but potentially more videos in strategic places. And what I mean by that is that every page of the website, I would like you to think of as a brochure. Okay. And so you might have your general brochure for your practice, where you talk in general terms. That's usually the homepage, where you might mention the different services you have or your different plans and programs, and address the visitor from a general place. On that page, having that general welcoming video could be really powerful. You don't have to talk about anything specific in terms of what the programs are, but inviting people to discover those programs. Another page, think of like another brochure, would be something that would inform the person about a specific treatment. And the video on that page would talk in specific terms about what that page is about. Okay? We have the general brochure, and then every page is a specific brochure. I would say for every treatment or every program or every specific kind of service or condition that you deal with, it would be best to have a specific page for that. First of all, create rapport on that specific thing, right? So if you're speaking to moms, then that video is where you can talk to them and connect with moms on that level. If it's for elderly people, similarly, you could connect on that level about their particular issue, why you care about it, why it's important for you that they have your treatment. And then, of course, the page will fill in the rest of the information they need. Okay, now let's move on to the actual information. Of course, a website needs not just information, it needs a lot of information, a lot of rich information. And the reason is because Google and the search engines and ChatGPT are also reading your page. And so an example I like to think about is if somebody goes to ChatGPT and asks, I need a yoga studio on my way back from work that has sufficient parking and is close to a supermarket. Now, somebody might think about asking ChatGPT something like that because part of their daily routine would be going to yoga, and they also want to make sure that they can take care of their shopping while they're at it. Now, if our website might have all our information about our programs and our pricing, but we don't actually fill in that rich information, then we are probably not going to show up in a lot of those ChatGPT or AI search engines. And also just to note that people are becoming much more fluent in chatting with AI. And so we need to create our website for that use case. And this is becoming much more important. So let's get into the actual information. First of all, think about every offering. So if you have a treatment plan or a treatment program for a certain ailment, I would say create a page for that program. Now, on your homepage, you can have a card or a link to that program. So let's say somebody has a lower back pain and you're a chiropractor. You can have a card that says we specialize in lower back pain and have a button, learn more. That would go to your page that talks about your lower back pain program. Then you would provide that information. You can have your pricing, and that is actually something that a lot of people don't put in. If you think that you don't want to post your prices, or you have some reservations, or you have special considerations, I would love to hear about them in the comments. I would be happy to engage with that, and maybe your case would be different. But I generally tend to feel that pricing on the website is actually very helpful. Now, in addition to the pricing, we also have the FAQ section. Now, here is really where we get to feed all our information, all those questions about, do you have parking, or do you have wheelchair accessibility? Is there an elevator? All of those questions, all that rich information can really just be packed into your FAQs. So you don't need to go too crazy on making your web page so very long and all these different sections. If it's just a matter of getting that information on the page, many people really just go to the FAQs and really think about what are the potential questions that we can address. And at the same time, we'll also be informing the AI search engines about the answers to these questions. Okay, so we have the information, we have the pricing, we have the FAQs. There is also a strong case for putting social proof if you have that, and that is things like testimonials that will make people feel more confident in working with you. Of course, that should be added to your website as well. And then there's just one last part of the website, and that is the call to action. And that's where people actually press the button to call you or to text you or to fill out your form. And also there are calls to action where people can actually book an appointment directly from the website. Now, most of the website builders and platforms have these widgets already built in. You can just drag in a contact form and put your email at the end of it and select your fields. But in the past 2 years, since the advent of AI, this whole process has changed significantly to the point where anyone building a website now, and I'm recording in 2025, should not use the typical call to actions that were used for the past 20 years. The reason is because, and this is something I've learned in my journey of helping wellness practitioners, that if somebody fills out a contact form, that means that they are motivated right now at the time that they submit their contact form to get the help that you're providing, to get your services. But by the time that you respond to that contact form, they might have moved on. They may never actually get back to you. And so this is the story of what happens to so many practitioners. And so what AI allows you to do is to have real-time response to the call to action. And so I would say, get rid of the contact form in a traditional way. Don't expect to get an email with, this is the fields that they filled out, and now I'm going to call them back. I would say implement an AI chatbot or an AI receptionist. That means somebody who can answer the phones, an operator. Now, instead of saying, for the secretary or for the main office, press 1. For our services, press 2. The new age version of that, which is an AI receptionist, saying, hi, I'm an AI receptionist. How can I help you? Allowing people to go through the process of answering their questions and even booking an appointment. And that is huge because you can basically service any of your web visitors at any hour of the day. They have chatbots, and maybe you've even encountered these, where on the website you can chat and they'll answer your questions. So any FAQs are all now fed into the chatbot. And so if somebody said, do you have handicap accessibility? The chatbot knows that because it read your FAQs. So we'll take advantage of that functionality and actually program the chatbot to be able to book visitors directly from the chatbot. So now going back to the question, how should I build my website? Should I make it myself? Should I hire someone else? What do I recommend? Making it yourself, I would say there's a few very serious considerations that you have to take. First of all, it takes a lot more than simply dragging and dropping. There's a lot of copywriting or marketing text that is very counterintuitive, because part of a website is praising yourself. As a wellness practitioner, it doesn't really feel so comfortable talking praise about ourselves. A big part of the website that needs to come through is expressing, not in a haughty way, but just in an honest way. But besides for that, what happens is people put a lot of time into developing the website, and they become a little bit set on, I built it, therefore they feel a bias that they don't want to change it, even though it's really not very good. And I actually drafted a mock website just so you get a sense of the kind of website that I've encountered. This is what it would look like. And this is like a good example of a bad website. Notice a lot of the features here, and we want to avoid all these animations and different colors and nothing really that is engaging on a human level. And this example is the worst offenders of people who DIY their own websites, where they're like, oh my gosh, I can do this with animation. And once you spend all that time creating a website like this, and when someone says, man, this is not going to get you anything, there is that resistance to change. And unfortunately, that will really affect how people engage with your practice. The alternative to doing it yourself would be to hire someone. And the assumption is this person is a professional. You can see a lot of times their portfolio, it seems like they're pretty skilled. A lot of times they might have beautiful websites as their examples that they send. But what you're asking for is for them to really think about your business, your brand, and invest a lot of their time in your messaging. And so that could either be very expensive if they do it right, or if they don't invest the time, then they're not actually going to make a website that feels genuine and right for you. And so you might pay them and they'll deliver you the website, and that will be your website. And you won't ever feel like really strong about it. You'll just feel like this is what I got. And I'm not saying that's always the result, but that's a result that I would be wary of. And because of that, one of the things that I've been advocating, and one of the things I'm doing with this channel and with our organization, Sage and Savvy, is creating workshops that allow practitioners like you to be involved on a top level of really determining and thinking about the messaging, being a part of that process, and then being able to take a website development brief or plan, and then either giving that to a developer or actually using AI website developing tools, which are right now very popular, and feeding that brief into that AI tool. And you could iterate with those tools. So it will give you back a website based on your comprehensive instructions. And then you can give it feedback, and that way you could be part of the choice. Also with a developer, if you give a developer a brief, they'll be able to send it back to you, and you'll be part of that decision, but from a place of really understanding what it was that you wanted. So if that kind of workshop is something that's interesting for you, let us know in the comments. We really would love to create something like that and for you to be part of that. So please join our community and be part of the conversation. And I'd love to see that you could be empowered in the development of your website. Thank you, and keep it awesome.